Here's an interesting one that one of my people in my think tank actually sent me. I think this was Julius, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to Julius. The rise of the SHEconomy is good news for these retailers. And the rise of the SHEconomy is actually a study, I do believe it's by Forbes, if I'm not mistaken. No, Morgan Stanley. It's actually a 35-page study by Morgan Stanley about the rise of the SHEconomy. I think it was done in like 2019, a couple years ago. But this is an update to it. But the rise of the SHEconomy is more about selling and the purchasing power of women. But the reason I want to read this is not because of the economic value, but the thing is about the marriage piece, how many single women there are. So I'm going to read part of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll put the link in the description. You can read it for yourself. And you guys can suss out the rest of the details. But I want to focus in on the first half of this article, which is very interesting because it's something we talk about in the management. And Kevin has been talking about this really for about a year. With the population of prime working age single women growing, a study finds retailers from Nike and Lululemon to TJX and Sephora are poised to be among the biggest beneficiaries of this group's appetite for spending. By 2030, it's 9 years, 45% of prime working age women between 25 and 44 in the U.S. will be single, the largest share in history, up from 41% in 2018. According to a 35-page study titled Rise of the SHEconomy by the investment bank Morgan Stanley, in total, the single women population will grow by an average annual rate of 1.2% through 2030 to 77.5 million compared to a 0.8% growth rate for the overall U.S. population. Among the total female population over the age of 15, the percentage of single women by 2030 will outpace that of married women and rise to 52% from 49% last year, according to the study, which was based on Census Bureau data and was released Thursday. We got to go check out what the census has to say. What's behind that growth? It's not just that women are getting married later or that the divorce rate among those over 55 is increasing, which it is. Never married, get this, never married women will actually represent the fastest growing segment of the female population, the study finds. The report shows single women outspend the average household on a per patient adjusted basis in categories such as fashion, restaurants, which is true, and personal care products, putting the retailers with a hold on this demographic potentially in the sweet spot. Now, guess what it just said? Okay, guess what it just said? The never married women will actually grow faster than married women at a rate. Okay, and that's all women. That's not black women. That's all women. And we know black women get married at half the rate, less than half the rate of white women, less than half the rate of white women and Latino women. So if the rate is going to increase, and black women are already close to 25%, just a quarter more of them are married. Imagine what it's going to look like in the next 10 years, especially when Generation Z comes on board. So when Kevin says less than 25% of black women will ever get married in their lifetime, he wasn't kidding. This is an actual study. I'm looking for it by race. But the thing is, if you just take the past history of the last 40, 50 years, where the rate of black marriage has actually gone down, especially for black women starting in the 1960s, this basically supports what Kevin is saying. Not directly, but the thing is, it tends to support what Kevin is saying. About a quarter of black women never getting married and dying alone. He's 100% right. So a lot of black men think that they can alpha their way through it and force black men back into the home and force another direction to force these women to get married. The thing is, it has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with the quality of men. It has everything to do with the environment that these women are raised in, what they're taught in school, the supportive environment that's around them, and the way the whole culture is going. And this is not a localized black male-female phenomenon. This is not only a societal problem in the United States, but also a cultural problem in the West that is spreading throughout the whole world. That's happening in South Korea, where marriages have taken a tumble, and the rise of never married women are rising in a patriarchal country like South Korea. So for black men, and I understand them, because we're socialized to believe that we can be supermen, that we can actually save our culture and save our society with no power. We don't have power to shape this environment. We don't have power to shape this society. We can't even shape the school systems that we're in. We don't even influence that. They teach what they want to teach. Hell, white people don't have the influence to shape their school system or their society. There's way more of them with way more money, with way more power, way more influence. So I hear brothers say, God bless them, that it's up to us to change the structure and the direction of the black community. We never could. That's what Monahan was saying back in 1965. Black men have never had control over the black community, ever. There's no book, no publication you can point to where black men were actually in control of the black community. Now, we've always been a part of it. Now, we've made inroads as far as how we're treated. Shout out to the civil rights and shout out to all the bodies that were buried to actually get this stuff done. For a low caste people to actually get done what we've done, which has never been done anyplace else in history. For a low caste people, small population, to actually fight for their civil rights and get them. People don't understand what a monumental effort and task and achievement that actually was. That's how come it rang out all over the world. How did this minority of people that are low caste with no power, no money, get this done? Now, timing had to be on point. The environment had to be there for you to actually do it. The thing is, that has never really been done any place in the world. The Dalits, there's way more of them, couldn't get it done in India in 2,000 years. That's how come they even marvel today that black people and black men especially got that done with no power, not even within their society, in their own subculture. That's how monumental that is. That's how big of a task that was and how historic just that even happening was. And just to have it subverted by black women because for their own gain, which is disappointing. But anyway, that's an aside. Anyway, the direction that this society, the Western culture, and even the world civilization is going, this is the trend. There's no way you're going to stop this, in my opinion. I know I'm going to get pushed back. You're going to have these so-called alpha dudes come up and try to shame men into trying again. People like Boyce Watkins said, if we can just stepdad our way through it, we can make a change. When, in fact, the wave is so big that just keeping your head above water is going to be a monumental task. And you see article after article after article, chart after chart after chart, actually saying the exact same thing. And the only reason that the marriage rate is still up, is still where it is in the black community, is not what's happening at the bottom with the younger people, with the millennials and the Gen Zs, or even Generation X. The reason that the marriage rate is so high still today is because the boomers are not yet dead. Boomers still have a large effect on the society and the black community in particular, because they're still alive. And a lot of boomers are still married. And the boomers were the last population of black people to really get married in mass. And even some of the silent generations that are in their 80s that they're either widowed or they're still married. Once those people start to fall off, once they start to die, then you're going to see these percentages change. They change slowly. But once the boomers start to die off, which is they're already starting to die off, you're going to start to see this percentage change. That's how come the out of wedlock birth rate has risen so high. Okay, it was the boomers, believe it or not, since they believed in marriage more, they kept it lower. Gen X were the ones that really spiked the out of wedlock birth rate. And the only thing that really stopped the out of wedlock birth rate and have it tail down is because of the heinous child support laws that they put on the men, to the point where black men, who are the biggest target of this kind of heinous legislation, they decided to strap up. So the people behind us, like the millennials, just, started to strap up. We're not going to bring babies into this world without being married, having some semblance of a guarantee, which that may be reversed because of the reversal of Roe v. Wade. So we'll have to see how that's going to work out. But I just wanted to put that out there about this article that was presented by CNBC. We're looking at the census data and looking at the Morgan Stanley report about the rise of the SHEconomy, more single women working in the workforce and making their own money. And so they don't need a husband, not getting married, and probably not getting married in a lifetime. There's white women They're talking about white women by 2030, 50% of white women, 52% of white women will never be married, probably never be married in their lifetime. And since black women get married at less than half, I think the marriage rate for white women is still about 60%. So we talked about maybe half to a third of black women getting married. So what Kevin is saying about only 25%, and I think that's probably conservative, of black women ever getting married in their lifetime. It has some validity to it, has some backing to it, has some grounding in reality to it, just by surveys, just by projections, and just by numbers. So I just wanted to put that out there. I haven't read the Goldman Sachs PDF. I might do it either tonight or tomorrow. Just go through it and mark it up, see what it says. But if I do that, it's not going to be public. It's going to be on Patreon. Y'all been getting way too much for free, and my Patreons are complaining that I don't do enough for them, which is very true. They contribute every month, and they don't get extras for it like they should. So I feel kind of bad about that. So with that, I'm going to jump off here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.